In the next few minutes, I'll reveal a game-changing strategy that's boosting commissions for marketers right now.
Hey everyone, and welcome. We're diving into some really fascinating stuff today. We're talking about how affiliate marketing is evolving and how you can stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah, it's true. The old ways of affiliate marketing are kind of dying out, like banner ads and email blasts. They just don't work as well anymore.
Exactly. So how do we adapt to this new landscape?
Well, that's where bridge marketing comes in. It's a term coined by Chris Record, who's like a total rock star in the marketing world. And it's totally changing the game.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What's the main idea?
So basically, you're building a bridge between what's already trending online, like viral content, and you connect that to your marketing message. Instead of interrupting people, you're joining an existing conversation.
So instead of shouting into the void, we're finding a way to be part of what everyone's already talking about.
Exactly. Think about it like this. You're scrolling through, let's say, TikTok, and you see a video about the latest dance craze. Now, imagine a clothing brand seamlessly integrates their athletic wear into that trend, maybe by showing dancers wearing their clothes. They're not changing the conversation, they're just like enhancing it,
I see. That's pretty cool, but how do you make that connection feel authentic? Like, I could see it coming across as forced or exploitative if it's not done right.
You're totally right. Authenticity is key here. You have to find a real, genuine connection between the trend and your message. You can't just shoehorn your product in there. That's where the skill comes in, figuring out how to make it natural.
Okay, I get it. So where do we begin?
Yeah.
What are the actual steps to implementing this bridge marketing thing?
Well, first, you got to become a trend spotter. You need to know what's grabbing people's attention right now. What are they talking about? Sharing. What's going viral?
So we need to have our finger on the pulse of the internet, constantly looking out for what's hot.
Yeah, pretty much.
But then what? Once we've spotted a trend,
then you got to figure out how to build that bridge between the trend and what you have to offer.
and that's where the creativity comes in, right?
Exactly. You got to ask yourself, how can I connect my product or service to this trend in a way that feels natural and valuable to my audience?
So it's not about hopping on any random trend. We have to be strategic and make sure it aligns with our brand and what our audience cares about.
Absolutely. And the cool thing about bridge marketing is that it can be applied to almost any industry. It doesn't matter if you're selling products, services, or even promoting a cause. The principles are the same.
Okay, that makes sense. So how do we actually bring this bridge to life? What kind of content are we talking about?
That's where the fun begins. It could be anything, really. From a witty social media post to a funny video, an insightful blog post, an interactive quiz. It really all depends on the trend and who your audience is.
Okay, so we've found a trend, figured out a creative way to connect it to our message, and then created some awesome content. What next? How do we get it out there?
Promotion, of course. You got to use all your channels, social media, email lists, website, even paid advertising if that's part of your strategy.
And of course, we got to engage with our audience.
Yeah.
Right? Respond to comments, answer questions, build that community.
For sure. Engagement is huge. It shows you're not just broadcasting a message, you're actually part of the conversation.
This is great, but I got to admit, I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed by all of this. The constant trend spotting, creating all this content.
I get it. It can seem like a lot. But here's the thing. You don't have to do it all yourself. There are tools and resources to help you. In fact, there's a ton of free info and support available at antifunnel.com.
Wait, free resources, so I can learn all about bridge marketing without spending any money.
Yep. Antifunnel.com is an amazing resource. They have articles, guides, templates, even a community forum to connect with other marketers.
Wow, that's incredible. I'll definitely have to check it out. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's break this down a bit. What's the very first thing someone should do if they want to get started with bridge marketing?
Well, the first step is to really understand the concept, why it's so powerful, and all the nuances involved. And antifunnel.com has a ton of information on their website that can help you with that.
Right, antifunnel.com. All right, so we've just scratched the surface of bridge marketing. And I'm excited to dive deeper into the specifics.
Let's do it. Next, we'll unpack the key elements of bridge marketing and look at some real-world examples to see how it's being used effectively. All right, so let's dive into those key elements. Think of them as the pillars of a successful bridge marketing campaign. We've got identifying trends, creating relevant content, engaging your audience, and staying consistent.
Okay, those all make sense together. But can we break them down a bit more? Like we talked about trend spotting earlier, but what are some actual tips for finding trends we can use?
Well, you want to be checking out what's happening across all different platforms. Social media is a big one, obviously. look at trending hashtags, viral videos, what influencers are talking about.
So basically, we got to become like internet detectives, constantly looking for clues about what people are into.
Yeah, exactly. And don't forget about tools like Google Trends. You can see what people are searching for, how interest in topics is changing. You even get insights based on location.
That's really helpful. Okay, so let's say we found a trend that seems promising. How do we go from spotting it to actually creating content that connects it to our message?
The key is to ask yourself, how does this trend connect to what I'm offering? What value can I add to this conversation?
Yeah.
Let's say you sell eco-friendly cleaning products and there's a trend about sustainable living. You could create a blog post or a video with tips on how to make your own cleaning solutions. Using natural ingredients, of course.
I like that. You're not just pushing your product, you're giving people useful information that's relevant to the trend and matches your brand values.
Exactly. And remember, the type of content you choose should fit the trend and your audience. If it's a visual trend like a dance challenge, a video might be best. If it's something more intellectual, maybe a blog post or an infographic would work better.
Makes sense. So we found the trend, brainstormed content ideas, and put it all together. Now, how do we make sure people actually see it?
Promotion is key, but it's not just about spamming your content everywhere. You got to be strategic. Think about where your target audience hangs out online. Are they on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook? And tailor your promotion accordingly.
So we need to know our audience and meet them where they are.
Absolutely. And don't underestimate the power of a good headline or caption. It's the first thing people see, so make it catchy and attention-grabbing.
And then, of course, engagement is crucial. We need to respond to comments, answer questions, really build that community.
Exactly. Engagement is so important. It shows that you're not just a brand shouting into the void. You're actually listening and participating in the conversation.
Okay, so we've covered trend identification, content creation, and promotion. What about consistency? Why is that so important in all of this?
Consistency builds trust and loyalty. You're riding these waves of trends, but you can't lose sight of your brand identity and your values. Your voice and message should be consistent across everything you do, even when you're trying out different content formats and trends.
Yeah, you don't want to jump on every single trend and risk confusing your core audience.
Right. It's all about finding that balance, being relevant and timely, but also staying true to who you are as a brand.
This is all starting to click now. So once we have all these elements working together, how do we know if our bridge marketing is actually paying off? How do we measure success?
That's the million-dollar question, right? That's where data analysis comes in. You need to track your key metrics, things like engagement, website traffic, conversions, and ultimately your return on investment.
So we need to set up tracking systems and really dig into that data to see what's working, what's not, and how people are responding.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to experiment and adjust your strategy as you go. Based on what the data is telling you, bridge marketing is all about being adaptable and responsive.
This is all so insightful. I feel like I have a much clearer understanding of how to approach bridge marketing now. But out of curiosity, what are some of the biggest mistakes people make when trying this?
One common mistake is jumping on a trend that just doesn't fit their brand or audience. They see something going viral and they try to force their product into it without thinking about whether it actually makes sense.
So it's not enough to just be aware of trends. We need to be picky and make sure they align with our brand.
Exactly. And another mistake is not putting enough effort into content creation. You can't just throw something together quickly and expect it to go viral. You got to create high-quality content that's engaging, informative, and visually appealing.
Yeah, people can spot a lazy marketing campaign from a mile away. We got to put in the effort to make our content stand out.
Absolutely. And lastly, people often forget about engagement. They spend all this time creating and promoting content, but then they don't bother to respond to comments or answer questions.
So we need to be present and active on whatever platforms we're using. It's a two-way street.
Exactly. It's called social media for a reason. You got to be social, engage with your audience, build relationships, and show that you're a real person, not just some faceless brand.
Okay, so we've talked about the key elements, data analysis, common mistakes. Now I'm curious, what are some real-life examples of brands doing bridge marketing well?
Oh, there are tons of great examples out there. One that comes to mind is a clothing brand that used a viral dance challenge. They created a video showing their clothes being worn by dancers doing the challenge. And it blew up, got millions of views, and a huge boost in sales.
That's smart. They tapped into something people were already loving and made their brand a part of it.
Exactly. Another good example is a company that sells meal kits. They noticed people were trying to cook more healthy meals at home, so they made a bunch of blog posts and social media posts with easy, healthy recipes that you could make with their meal kits, of course.
So they saw a need and offered a solution that fit perfectly with their product.
Right. And they didn't just talk about their product, they actually provided value by sharing recipes people could actually use.
Great. This is really making me see the potential of bridge marketing. It's not just about selling something, it's about connecting with people, providing value and being part of the conversation.
Exactly. And remember, you don't need a huge budget or a team of experts to do this. There are plenty of free resources online, including at antifunnel.com.
Right, antifunnel.com. We talked about them before, and I'm really impressed with what they offer. It's amazing that they provide all this information for free.
I know, it's fantastic. They have step-by-step guides, downloadable templates, everything you need to get started.
So they basically walk you through the whole process.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
They want everyone to be able to succeed with bridge marketing, no matter your experience or budget.
This is so inspiring. I'm feeling ready to go out there and start building some bridges.
That's the spirit. But before you jump in, let's take a closer look at some specific tactics and strategies you can use to implement bridge marketing on different platforms.
Okay, let's get down to brass tacks. What are some specific platforms and strategies we can use for bridge marketing?
Well, social media is a natural fit, right? I mean, that's where trends are born and spread like crazy. The key is to be quick and creative.
Gotcha. So can you give us an example of how we could use bridge marketing on, say, TikTok?
Sure, let's say there's a trending sound or dance challenge on TikTok. Instead of just making a generic video using that sound, think about how you can tie it back to your brand or your message.
So if you're a food brand, you could create a recipe video using that trending sound, maybe even working in some of the dance moves.
Exactly. You're tapping into the trend, but also adding your own twist and showing off your product at the same time.
I see. What about Instagram? How do we use bridge marketing on a platform that's so visual?
Instagram is all about great visuals and storytelling. You can use trending hashtags and challenges to create eye-catching content, stuff that makes people stop scrolling.
Yeah, I've seen brands make really cool reels that use trending audio or those visual effects. It's like they're speaking the language of Instagram.
Exactly. And don't forget about stories. You can use those to share behind-the-scenes content, quick tips, even polls and quizzes related to a trending topic.
So it's not just static posts. We're using all the features of the platform to create a more dynamic experience.
For sure. And engagement is super important on Instagram. Respond to comments, answer questions, maybe run contests or giveaways to get people excited about your brand.
Okay, that makes sense. So we've talked social media, but what about other platforms like YouTube or email marketing? Can we use bridge marketing there too?
Absolutely. On YouTube, you can make videos that give people valuable info or entertainment related to a trending topic, of course. Think tutorials, reviews, even comedic sketches.
Yeah, I've seen YouTubers do those response videos to viral videos or news stories. That seems like a good way to join a conversation and get your voice out there.
It is. And with email marketing, you can use trending topics as a jumping off point for your emails. Just make sure it's relevant and valuable to the people on your list.
So we can even use bridge marketing to make our emails more interesting.
That's great. Yeah, it's all about thinking outside the box. And the more you do bridge marketing, the more opportunities you'll start to see.
This has been so eye-opening. I feel like I have a whole new set of tools to reach my audience and build my brand.
That's what we like to hear. And remember, you don't have to figure it all out on your own. Antifunnel.com is an amazing resource for anyone who wants to master bridge marketing.
They really are. Their website is packed with info, tips, and tools. And that community forum is great for connecting with other marketers and sharing ideas.
It's a real testament to their mission of making marketing more accessible for everyone.
Well, I think we've built a pretty solid bridge to understanding bridge marketing today.
I'd say so. We've covered the basics, seen real-world examples, and even dug into specific tactics you can use on different platforms.
And we've talked about being authentic, engaging with your audience, and using data to guide you.
Remember, bridge marketing isn't about chasing every shiny new trend. It's about making meaningful connections between what people care about and what you have to offer.
It's about giving people value, building relationships, and ultimately growing your business in a way that feels genuine.
If you can do that, you'll be well on your way to success.
Great way to put it. Well, on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive. Thanks so much for joining us.
It was a pleasure being here.
And for everyone listening, we encourage you to explore bridge marketing and see how it can change the way you connect with your audience. Don't forget to check out antifunnel.com for all those awesome free resources. Until next time, happy bridging.
Welcome to the place where dreams collide. Digital innovation side by side. Entrepreneurial mindset to fly. Entrepreneur taking you high. Welcome to Vertipreneur, where ideas burn bright and pure. Digital world and success are sure. Vertipreneur opens the door. Welcome to the place where dreams collide. Digital innovation side by side. Entrepreneurial mindset to fly. Vertipreneur taking you high. Welcome to Vertipreneur, where ideas burn bright and pure. Digital world and success so sure. Vertipreneur opens the door. Welcome to Vertipreneur, where ideas burn bright and pure. Digital world and success so sure. Vertipreneur opens the door. 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 Vertipreneur opens the door.